Hello and welcome to Beautifully Balanced. Health and happiness aren't found in a bottle of prescription pills or with any fad diet. Instead, we can activate your body's natural ability to heal itself. And that is exactly what we're going to do together here. I'm Sarah Teeple, a women's integrative health practitioner, and I blend the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda with the modern science of functional medicine to help you heal your gut, rebalance your hormones, and calm anxiety naturally. Here I'll teach you the smart, sustainable, personalized, and fun way to use nutrition, herbs, and healthy lifestyle to feel vibrant, energized, and beautiful inside and out. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. I'm so excited about today's episode, how your gut actually works. So this is one of my favorite subjects, one of my favorite things to study, one of my favorite things to educate clients and you about gut health. So get ready to understand your digestive system in a whole new practical way that actually makes sense. So through this episode, I want to blow the lid off of or demystify this trendy term that we hear thrown around all the time, gut health, but no one is giving us actual solutions. So today we're going to dive into how your gut works, what it does, how it does it, and what you can do daily to make it work better. We'll develop an understanding of gut health from both a Western medical perspective and an Ayurvedic perspective. And I'll teach you how to apply simple tips in your real life to get rid of pesky and sometimes really quality of life compromising symptoms like bloating, gas, acid reflux, constipation, loose or urgent stools, IBS-type symptoms, and food sensitivities. So, spoiler alert, I'm going to give you the secret in a nutshell right now. Big spoiler alert here. So it's not the what, guys. It's not what exact foods you're putting in your mouth, what exact food groups, the exact number of calories or fat grams, even your exact ratio of macronutrients, which would be, how much protein, how much fat, how much carbohydrate. It's also not about your diet label, like, oh, I'm gluten-free, I'm dairy-free, paleo, keto, vegan, etc. So if you know me or you've worked with me, you know that my approach is very antithesis to kind of your standard diet culture, very antithetical, if you will, to kind of this one size fits all, and even needing to have a big label that you say you are, with your food. So it's not about the what. Instead, it's about the how your digestive system works, how you're eating. And by the how, I mean things like timing of your food, temperature of your food, and the attitude with which you consume and enjoy your food. These are the things that make a true difference in how you feel in your body, in how your gut functions, in how efficiently your metabolism moves, how well you're going to absorb and assimilate the nutrition from your food. So I'm going to teach you all about this. And then we'll end with 3 real life crucial tips that will have you feeling lighter, more energized, less bloated within a week, and will have you easily maintaining your ideal weight and minimizing food sensitivities over the long haul of applying these tips. So get excited, because I am definitely excited, and I'm happy that you're here. All right, before we dive into how your digestive system works, I have to get something out of the way. It's kind of a confession. It's kind of a gut health pet peeve, if you will. But I find it a little bit annoying and funny how Western medicine talks about gut health as though it's something that we just discovered. the microbiome. Oh, we have this diverse array of bacteria and the balance is really important. And we just discovered this. And now we're going to make all these products that we're going to sell you: probiotics, prebiotics, special expensive powders, bars, and drinks. So not only do I just think this is funny and ironic and, very much like a capitalistic standard here that, we're trying to now profit off of gut health, but it's ironic because Ayurveda has talked about gut health for over 5,000 years. It is not a new concept, and there is not a one size fits all. Just like Ayurveda versus sort of common Western medical trends in general, Ayurveda takes the individual's constitution in mind and understands things from a little bit of a deeper level. It's not just the surface kind of one size fits all term, gut health. So, while it is wonderful that Western medicine is now talking about gut health, and I mean, actually, probably for the last decade or more, this is not a new concept. So now I'm so glad to be able to bring this concept to you from a more integrative perspective, both the Western medical perspective and the ancient Ayurvedic perspective. So gut health, we're hearing this term all the time now, from, wellness gurus on Instagram to, the whole array of supplements that people are trying to sell you, online. From my observation of wellness trends, though, and even the diets, the specialized diets that I see doctors, dietitians, and nutritionists giving patients and clients, it's very one size fits all. And it is more about the what, talking about which foods are healthy, which foods are perfect and optimal superfoods, as opposed to which foods are demonized and never eat these. But, they're not talking about whether or not your gut is able to actually digest these healthy, expensive superfoods. And they're not talking or giving you tips about how to better digest your food in general so that you are actually absorbing and assimilating your nutrition. So here's the difference. Ayurveda says you are not what you eat. There's that sort of that saying that we've all heard and that sometimes I feel is very annoying. You are what you eat. Ayurveda says, though, that you are not what you eat. You are what you digest. So in Ayurveda, we don't say just gut health or just digestion, but there is this short little word, Agni, that means such a broader thing. So Ayurveda, the language that we use, is called Sanskrit. It's an Indian language. And one thing I love, love, love about Sanskrit is that you have these smaller root words that mean a very much broader concept. And Agni is a very good example of this. So Agni literally means your fire. And in this context, we're of course talking about your digestive fire. It's what is happening in all of your body, all of your digestive tract. And we'll go into exactly what that is in just a moment. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about why gut health is so important. So Western medicine and countless studies have now proven that so many of our neurotransmitters or our feel-good hormones that contribute to good mood, good energy, mental clarity, optimal brain function, minimal, cognitive decline. But so many of our neurotransmitters are made in our gut. Of course, your gut is also where your metabolism happens, where you're absorbing the minerals and vitamins from your food. We know that gut health or gut issues are very tied to the increase in prevalence of autoimmune conditions like lupus, multiple sclerosis, psoriasis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, even celiacs, which, of course, is obviously in the gut, gluten sensitivity. But, there's more to the picture than that. In Ayurveda, we talk about Agni in the gut, first and foremost, as it's called Abhyantara Marga, and it means your main or digestive channel, and how that takes in nourishment from the outside world and then nourishes tissues in the rest of your body. So when gut health is good, we can enjoy pleasant, even energy throughout our day, general good moods. We're still human. We can enjoy clearer skin and healthier hair, more balanced hormones, relatively easier periods, more deep and restful sleep. And signs of good gut health, if you're wondering, well, do I have good gut health or do I have issues? If you've got really bad digestive symptoms like chronic acid reflux, chronic constipation, you need some gut support. But if you feel like, well, my digestion seems to work relatively well, or there are other ways I can tell what's going on with my gut health, and these would be your signs of good gut health. So you're hungry at regular meal times, hungry at regular intervals throughout the day. You feel pretty satisfied after meals, but not heavy, lethargic, or acidic like that acid reflux. You have healthy formed eliminations, aka poops, as in you're going, 1 to 2 times daily with, minimal drama, minimal smell, and, minimal other symptoms around that. Your tongue is relatively clear or doesn't have much of a thick, white or yellow coating on it, and you feel relatively energetic or even throughout the day. A sign of Agni imbalance would be things having to do with your appetite, like insatiable, strong cravings. You might be always hungry, or contrary to that, have no appetite or a low appetite. You might feel heavy, lethargic, or acidic after meals. Or you might get a feeling of extreme fullness after eating only a few bites. This happens to some people, and this can be a sign of a digestive condition called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So feel free to, pop any questions in the comments or leave a review and ask questions if you're having any of these symptoms. Some other signs of an Agni or gut imbalance would be your eliminations or your poops going less than 1 time a day or going more than 4 times a day. And if you're going more than 4 times a day, those stools might be loose, unformed, real liquidy, urgent, might contain blood or mucus. Or the last sign here of Agni imbalance is having a really thick white, yellow, or brown coating on your tongue. That in Ayurveda is called ama. And that tells us that you've got some undigested metabolic waste in your digestive tract. So this goes without saying, and we kind of already touched on this, but when your Agni is compromised, you might experience symptoms like bloating, gas, acid reflux, constipation, IBS, food sensitivities, where all of a sudden you can no longer digest certain foods or even food groups. And this was part of my digestive journey. I had chronic constipation for years, and had just mounting food sensitivities where my list of no-no foods was just growing longer and longer. I was already gluten and dairy free. I was already eating this air quotes, perfect paleo diet, lots of salads and smoothies. Then all of a sudden I could no longer digest nuts, and then no chocolate, and then no beef. So I felt very confused. This was before I found Ayurveda and understood all this on a totally different level. But what was happening here is that I didn't have true food sensitivities to these food groups. I had an Agni or digestive fire problem that I needed to address. So now a little bit more about Agni. What does this beautiful word mean? So it's very rich in meaning. The kind of direct translation is your fire, and in our context, your digestive fire. So your fire has to do with your appetite, your metabolism, with your gut health, your microbiome, with absorption and assimilation and integration of all the beautiful nourishment and nutrients from your food. Agni is a transformative process. So it's about transforming that beautiful nutrition into usable energy and then excreting, pooping out what we can no longer use. And one quick digression, or going back up to the appetite and metabolism aspect here, I really want to highlight that your appetite and your metabolism are very closely tied together. And I think this is so important for us to understand, because in our diet culture, we have been incorrectly led to fear our appetites, to kind of disdain our own appetite, to want to suppress our appetite. Use coffee so you suppress your appetite and you're not hungry, or, diet pills. I feel like no one does this anymore, but that was, big in the 80s and 90s. And, really kind of being afraid of and wanting to suppress our appetite. In Ayurveda, we would never want to do that because we know that the appetite is just one side of a metabolic coin. On the other side of that coin is your metabolism. So if you're suppressing your appetite, you're suppressing your metabolism. We want to have a good, healthy appetite. And I'll describe to you a little bit about how to do that with our first of our 3 tips near the end of our episode. But I just want to encourage you to be curious and open to a new relationship and less judgment of your appetite. Love your appetite, embrace your appetite, welcome your appetite, and then feed yourself well. And we will teach you all about how to do that here on Beautifully Balanced. So the physiological processes that are involved in your gut health. So again, it's not just this ambiguous term, oh, my gut, I guess that means my stomach, right? No, there are lots and lots of physiological processes and body parts or organs involved in your digestive system that all contribute to this concept of your gut health. So first, it starts in your mouth with your salivation or your amylase enzyme that's produced. So if you've ever heard of people taking digestive enzymes, or maybe you've even taken those if you're having some stomach problems, our body produces all of its own enzymes, starting in the mouth with the amylase enzyme. Then we're going to move down your esophagus into your stomach with where the churning of your food happens. So there's that movement of the stomach, and there's also the hydrochloric acid produced in the stomach. Agni also happens in your liver, where we break down food and different toxins from our environment or our food or our drink into elements that the body can actually use. And then our Agni also happens in our small intestine. And that's kind of where we talk about it in Western medicine, in the microbiome. And that is where absorption and assimilation of nutrients happens. So as you can see, our digestion, our gut health, our Agni is a very beautiful, diverse, somewhat complex process that needs to be respected, honored, upheld, and worked with instead of against. So many of the diet strategies or, things that I see people trying, these one-size-fits-all wellness trends, actually result in people working against their gut health and against their metabolism instead of with it. So we've described a little bit about how your digestion works. And now you understand your body a little bit better. That's one of my primary goals and wishes for you. And now I'm going to leave you with 3 tips to get you started in order to kindle your digestive fire so that it will work wonderfully, and how to just take care of it in a better way throughout your day, every day. So the first tip number 1 is to enjoy 3 meals a day around the same times every day. So to eat on a schedule. Now, this doesn't have to be a super regimented, breakfast at exactly 8 a.m., lunch at exactly noon, dinner at exactly 6, although those are great meal times. But the takeaway I want to be for you is that your gut works on a schedule, and your elimination, your poops, should work on a schedule as well. I can't even describe to you how many clients I have that will be having digestive problems or not going to the bathroom regularly. And I ask them what their eating schedule is like. And they say, well, it's kind of hit or miss. I'm really busy. I often don't have time for breakfast. I'll eat lunch as like a snack in my car, or kind of just graze around. And then I'll have a big dinner. Then, I'll snack while I'm watching Netflix. Or they just say they pretty much have no regularity in their eating schedule. And somehow they're surprised that they have no regularity in their eliminations. And in Ayurveda, we say like increases like. So regularity of eating is going to increase or contribute to regularity and ease of digestion, regularity and ease of bowel movements. These things that we want and that somehow we're so surprised when we don't have. So our behaviors, the how of eating, do contribute to whether or not we're experiencing symptoms, or really, really can help us with our overall ease of digestion. So if there's one takeaway or one thing that I really want you to try this week, is start to try to eat on a schedule, 3 meals a day, around the same times, every day, and favoring meals over snacks. And that doesn't mean that we can't have snacks. If you're truly hungry, I want you eating a snack. Absolutely. Eat that snack, enjoy that snack, but always favoring your meals. How often do we, get hungry for a snack, and then sometimes we'll overeat, and then we won't be hungry for our next meal. And that really throws off our entire day's eating schedule. So favor those meals over snacks. Respect your digestive system and that it works on a schedule. So you need to create that schedule for it. Number 2, eat mostly warm cooked foods. So this is a huge, huge divergence in kind of what we're taught in your Instagram wellness culture about, salads, smoothies, protein drinks, health bars. I'm going to do a whole episode about that. Our next episode is going to be the problem with most salads, smoothies, and bars. But what I want you to start thinking of is what Ayurveda calls the qualities of your foods. So we want you to do more warm, cooked, nourishing foods and fewer hard, cold, raw, icy foods. So the beauty of cooked foods is that cooking is like a pre-digestion. When you start to digest your food, whether it's cooked or raw, what you're doing with those digestive enzymes that we talked about are manufactured, at least partially in the mouth as amylase enzyme, and that hydrochloric acid that's produced and utilized in the stomach, you're starting to kind of cook that food with those acids and enzymes. But cooking actual food, making food into a soup or a stew, pre-digest that food and just makes it all the more ready for your body to absorb and assimilate the nutrition from that. Your digestive tract, the way it works, is in this kind of flowy, rhythmic, warm kind of way. So these tips that I'm giving you are going to increase those qualities of rhythmic, eating on a schedule. That's creating a rhythm. Eating mostly warm cooked foods, that's warming the digestive tract. When you think of your digestive tract, I want you to think of your body. You know that your body is body temperature, which is about 98.6 degrees. Well, so is your stomach and small intestine. And when you put icy, icy cold foods into your stomach, basically that churning process in your stomach cannot happen as efficiently, or it has to work a lot harder to bring that food up to body temperature before your stomach would even dare to let that food pass into your small intestine for the nutrition to be absorbed and assimilated. So if we can eat more warm cooked foods, our stomach does not have to work as hard. This is so important. And again, I'm going to dive deeply into this in our next episode, which I'm so excited about, the problem with most salads, smoothies, and bars. All right. So that was tip number 2. Tip number 3, attitude. The attitude and kind of mental place with which we approach our food. So we want an attitude of relaxation and gratitude. And I know, guys, this can be so hard to find this attitude in general throughout your busy day. But when we're eating our food, we're going to digest so much more optimally if we're eating sitting down, focused on our food. We're breathing. We're actually breathing. We're not driving and scarfing down a bar and, guzzling our coffee. But again, we're looking at this digestive process, looking at the qualities of it. It's flowy. It's rhythmic. There has to be opening and receptivity and relaxation. And that just doesn't happen when we're rushing from task to task, not focused on our food, not grateful for our food, not taking a moment to nourish ourselves. So the tip around this would be sit down with no distractions, no phone, no computer, even for 5 to 10 minutes. So I have so many clients that say, I just do not have time to have a sit down meal. You can find time to sit down uninterrupted with your meal. I mean, you might be like interrupted with your children if you're like me and have 2 small children. But that's an interruption we're expecting. But you can sit down and focus on your food for at least 5 to 10 minutes. Give yourself that gift. You deserve it. Relax, enjoy. And once you start to do this, you will deepen that neural pathway in your brain that tells you, oh, my food is meant to be enjoyed. I'm meant to relax during this. This will get easier and easier, but you have to interrupt the feedback cycle of eating hurriedly, eating under stress, eating, while super distracted. We've got to interrupt that feedback loop somewhere. So there are your 3 tips. Eat on a schedule, 3 meals a day. Tip 2, mostly warm cooked foods. Tip 3, attitude of relaxation and gratitude. Try these 3 things and see how they can greatly, greatly enhance your gut health and your overall health. And hey, after you've tried these things, leave me a review or a comment. And I would just love to hear how they're working out for you. My goal here is to give you usable tips, tricks, and strategies to make your everyday life more wonderful. So I hope you've enjoyed our episode on demystifying gut health, how your gut actually works. Thank you so much for being here. Try the tips, and I will see you next week. Have a beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me today. Remember, you can feel your best naturally. Just try one new thing a week that you learn here and watch your body and life transform. And if you're ready to take this to the next level, learn your dosha, get your personalized holistic plan, and live beautifully balanced, you've got to come see me at sarahteeple.com. That's SARAHTEEPLE.com. There you can learn about how to work with me one-on-one or book a free holistic chat and just tell me what you're working on. I love to hear from you and help you live your best life. So until next time, be well. Oh, and if you love this conversation, please rate and review our podcast. That really helps more people find natural healthcare options. Thanks again, and see you soon.